You know, Portland it's going through a lot of changes right now. It used to be a very, very racist city, and now it's a very, very racist city. And, part of what's happening currently in Portland is former mayor has an advisory position in the city hall, a city council, and to the mayor. He's the special assistant to the mayor. And he's coming out with this plan to introduce 3 500-bed concentration camps. And along with that is going to be a dictate that says people who don't go into the concentration camps can be jailed or forced to leave the state. So, forced migration is actually a part of genocide. It's a part of a war crime when you take a segment of the population, specify them as the target of your action, and then take actions to make them leave. Forced migration. Indigenous people like myself, we understand forced migration because it's been done over and over again to Native Americans. And there are plenty of unhoused Native Americans here in Portland who will be subject to these concentration camps and subject to forced migration. Now, I personally, for a long time, believed we lived in a country that was above such behaviors, that we wouldn't engage in concentration camps. We wouldn't engage in attacking the most vulnerable people in our society. But that's just not the reality anymore. All across the country, they're setting up these gulags for the most vulnerable populations to put people who have no other options into concentration camps. And we have plenty of models that are successful in helping people to regain a place in society. Housing First being the prime example that has a 90% success rate when implemented properly. But concentration camps, there's no solution afterwards. Once you put the people into the concentration camp, it's not like they come out the other side with a house and a place to live and all of a sudden capable individuals ready to contribute to society. A lot of people who live outside, they live outside because they have some form of disability, whether they're elderly, whether they're coping with some sort of trauma, PTSD, sexual assault, maybe they're a survivor of domestic violence, or they're another marginalized community, be it Black, Indigenous, Latino, Asian American, Middle Eastern, African. There are all of these different segments of society that are not given equal treatment in the United States. And among those discriminatory policies, we see it in education, healthcare, media, law enforcement. And the result is horrible because incarcerating people doesn't reform them. Jailing people doesn't actually cause them to become a better human being. Most cases, they're exposed to more radical, more violent, and desperate people who further harm them and create a worse situation for our society by putting people who are not well off into a situation where they have to cope with people who are hardened by the criminal justice system. And it doesn't make things better. It makes things dramatically worse. It's not even just like me saying that. Anybody can learn that stuff. It's recidivism, people who go back to jail after being incarcerated. It's huge. It's like 70% or 75% of people who are once jailed become jailed again after being released. And it's because the criminal justice system doesn't cause reform. It does not reform people. What actually reforms people is peer support. Peer support, being nice to other people, helping them to cope with the difficulties they're facing in society is what reforms them. It's not that difficult. You probably learned this stuff while you're in kindergarten. But instead of taking a humanistic approach to the societal issues that we're facing, Portland is deciding on a fascistic approach and dedicating itself to harming the most vulnerable, forcing them into concentration camps, using forced migration, basically putting the people on a trail of tears. If you're a Native American, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like the city of Portland is about ready to put 40,000 people onto a trail of tears while they put 1,500 people into concentration camps. That's what it looks like to me. Why? Because wealthy developers want to make it appear that there are no social ills caused by their gluttonous behaviors. They want to act like what they're doing in society has no repercussions on the people who they take advantage of. Because that's what's happening, right? All of these gluttonous people, they don't work any harder than the people who are living blue-collar lifestyles. In fact, most unhoused people work. They have full-time jobs. They just can't afford the luxuries that are afforded to the wealthy. They get locked out of the housing market by criminal records, bad credit, poor, low income, and so they're not given housing, and as a result of it, they're subject to much higher rates of law enforcement. In Portland, upwards of 50% of all arrests are of unhoused people. And it's not because unhoused people commit 50% of crime. It's because unhoused people are more available for law enforcement to harass, harangue, and harm. It's because unhoused people don't have direct access to lawyers. In Oregon, they don't even have access to public defenders because our public defender's office is collapsing under the weight of our police state. So no, creating concentration camps for unhoused people is not a good solution. It doesn't create any long-term solutions to a problem that's rising, right? Because global warming is causing these forest fires. I don't know if you can see this. The city is shrouded in smoke right now because of forest fires. The city's shrouded in smoke. Those forest fires are burning people's homes. Those people have to live somewhere. We have these massive mudslides in the state of Oregon. Huge mudslides. They kill people. They destroy housing. They ruin infrastructure. Those people have to live somewhere. So while climate chaos is causing larger and larger numbers of people to become homeless, the city is trying to create policy to harm those people and put their disadvantaged state into further disadvantage and less safety. So, I point to this Portland State University study that was co-authored with the Joint Office of Homelessness. It said there are 40,000 homeless people in Portland. 40,000 homeless people. And what the mayor's assistant is proposing is to house 1,500 of them in concentration camps. So under Boise versus Martin, it's illegal to carry out camp sweeps while you don't have adequate shelter. So where are the 40,000 shelter beds? The Joint Office of Homelessness said that there are 40,000 homeless. Where are the 40,000 homeless beds? Oh, there aren't 40,000? So you're just going to take 1,500 beds and make the other 3,500 people 38,500. So they're making beds for 1,500 people, and there's going to be 38,500 people still homeless while they're carrying out massive sweeps and creating concentration camps. That's what's happening in Portland, Oregon. And we all know it's wrong. But you know what? The wealthiest, most entitled class of people are the ones who hold power in this city. And even though they represent a tiny minority of the actual voting public and the people who live here, they're able to carry out enormous influence by holding sway over a small handful of city councilors. So there's like 3 fascist city councilors who are down to impose neo-fascism on the city of Portland. And those 3 city councilors, they're going to force this through. They're going to force this through. And it'll be real interesting times here in the next few weeks as the city of Portland reacts to open fascism. So, stay tuned. I'll be doing more live feeds, try and keep you guys up to date on what's going on. Ted Wheeler is a horrible person. He's the worst mayor I've ever known. And, Sam Adams, the mayor's special assistant, he has a horrible record in Portland. While he was mayor, he was drunk driving during the day and wrecked into a parked car. He wrecked into a parked car. He was also caught grooming children. He was grooming children to be his SA victims. So, Portland is not doing okay right now. Portland is not okay right now. And I'll be putting out more videos to show you guys exactly what is happening here as things progress.